Community Matters, solutions to local issues, and discussions with leaders who are making a positive difference. From your encouraging Spirit FM, here's your host, Doug Day.
Welcome back to Community Matters right here on Spirit FM. And today we are joined by Karina Hall. She is the president of Duffle Bag Project. Karina, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us. We really appreciate it at Duffle Bag.
Yeah, really excited to get to talk with you today. So as we get started, for those who maybe don't know anything about Duffle Bag Project, share with us a little bit about what this ministry is all about, how it got started, where that vision came from.
Well, Duffle Bag Project is a nonprofit organization, and it focuses primarily on foster children, but we also have elements where we help homeless people and sometimes single families or single parents. And there are about 400,000 foster children just in the United States alone. And this organization has no borders, so we recently started shipping overseas as well. So when we get into those digits, it's millions of children who are homeless and without parents. But here in just the States alone, there's 400,000. And with that number, over 90% travel with their belongings in trash bags from home to home in these foster systems. And our aim is to change that. Our twofold prong is we give what dignity we can by trading their trash bag for a duffel bag. And then through that, we provide a message of hope and love via the Word of God. We embroider a Bible verse, Joshua 1:9, on the flap of each bag, and include a tab Bible.
Yeah, I love that for sure. So share with me a little bit about where this passion for this ministry comes from for you as you got this started.
So kind of a long-winded answer. So Duffle Bag Project is a completely God-driven organization. There wasn't a team of people or a sit-down where we decided to hey, what can we do to figure out how to help these foster children. It really just came from a vision of God. I was at a point in my life where I was open and just overflowing with the love of God, and just I wasn't trying to start any nonprofit. I just wanted God to use me somehow. And at this point, we had 2 kids, my husband and I, and I think I was pregnant with my third, and we're at a Bible study, and I was just, we had a moment of prayer, and I was just open, God, use me. How can you use me? I want to share this love. And I got this vision of a person kind of in a silhouette with a duffel bag and a cross in front of them. And I just knew in my heart, foster kids, a duffel bag, and a Bible, and a verse on it. I didn't know the details. It's something that you just know so hard, it became innate in me. And I raised my hand. My husband's sitting next to me, wondering, what am I doing? Raising my hand. And I was like, hey, I wanted to say something. It was a Bob Goff small group. We were going over a Bob Goff, which is Dream Big. And like I said, this vision came up, and I told the group, I was like, hey, I'm going to start getting duffel bags and Bibles to foster kids and homeless people. And my husband looks over, and he's like, okay. And so that's really how it started. And when this happened, I had no idea of the statistics with foster kids. I didn't know the need. And so that night, just started doing some research and finding out there's some government websites that give you the details on how many foster kids there are within each state, within the U.S. in total. And just in Virginia alone, there's 4,000. And in each state, it varies so much. I think Georgia has 11,000. There's 5,000, 2,000. It's everywhere. It's a problem in every state. And so then I started YouTubing, and I was not a home ec person, so I didn't know if I was just going to glue the verse on there. I didn't know the verse. I just knew in my heart that God was going to give someone or provide someone to give me that verse, and lo and behold, he did that. And it's just been kind of a step by step. He's brought it forth, and we just keep moving one step at a time.
So since Duffle Bag Project started till now, what have been some things that have come along? What has the growth looked like, whether it's, with opportunities, with volunteers, with people coming on to help? What has that looked like?
Oh, it's almost like caveman to now. So my husband and I had our first machine in our room, our bedroom, and then it moved to the garage. And then we got our first volunteer, our second home ec machine. So there were 2 machines out, and it moved up to 3 machines. And then distribution-wise, we had maybe 12 to 24 bags going out a month at that point, and then it went to 48. And then our volunteer group grew, and then our donees grew, and I would just be cold calling organizations. Hey, do you need duffel bags? Hey, do you need duffel bags and tab Bibles? And they would always say yes.
Yeah.
And it just grew slowly, but at a pace that was consistent with the management that we were saying that we'd be able to get out. So said we had like 6 donees at one point, and we were able to provide duffel bags every month for those 6. And then those 6 grew to 10 and then to 12. And then we started realizing we needed a bigger machine, and our garage was overfilling. So at that point, we had different machines at people's houses. I'd order the bags and I'd drop them off at their house, I'd pick them up and then ship them and different things like that. So we were quickly outgrowing our garage. The requests were coming in and kind of overflooding. And so we purchased what I like to call Little David, our Little David machine. All the funds for this has been God too, how that's been provided, because our little home ec machines were each $1,000. Little David was $5,000. Right. Now we had David 2.0, which I like to call as a double head machine. That was $20,000. We have 2 offices that are both fully donated to us for space. Divine Fog Realty gives us a little space for our Bibles. So we had to call that our Bible office. People go in and tab. They pick Bibles up, sign them out, bring them back, sign them back in. And then Thomas Road Baptist Church is kind enough to lend us an office space within their foster and adoption, where we have our David 2.0 machine. And we have an embroidery team that goes in and dedicates hours and hours a week to embroidering bags for these kids. And so distribution, we started doing 12 a month, 24, and now sometimes we're doing up to 200. So it's grown exponentially. For the year of 2024, we added 11 new organizations that we donate to. So I think we're up to 42, because our first Friday of January, we added another organization. So it's been amazing to see the growth.
That is so powerful to hear. So for somebody that doesn't know anything about duffel bags, or, like you said at the beginning, you weren't a home ec person. I'm not a home ec person at all. What does the process look like for, getting the duffel bag ready? I know you talked a little bit about the Bibles being tabbed, but like, how long does that process take? What does that look like to get that many bags out and ready?
Initially, when we were embroidering each bag, it was taking 48 minutes to do one bag.
Wow.
Now it probably takes around 20 to 24 minutes to embroider a bag. And how it happens is we order these bags in bulk. They come in we get them into the embroidery office, and we have an embroidery team of 3 women. So we function on volunteer and community. So that's, again, a reason why we appreciate you having me come on here today. But so these 3 women, they go in, they focus on embroidering the bag. So they fold out the bag, they unzip the flap, and they stick it in the machine. And it seems like a rather simple process. Learning the machine, getting the machine, that was a huge step that we overcame. But now it's that's what it is. You unzip it, you put the bag in, and you hit start. Sometimes an issue may pop up, and they're trained well enough that they know how to fix it, if that's what it is. And then they let it embroider. They pack them back up, they fold it up, and put it on the shelf. And then on Fridays are our shipment day. Fridays and Saturdays vary. And so on shipment day, Sherry Norris, who's our donee coordinator, she now lets us know who the next shipment is going to, because we typically have a waiting list. Sometimes in the seasons throughout the year, there'll be a longer waiting list than others. And when we don't have a waiting list or no one on the waiting list, then we start cold calling, or actually we haven't had to cold call anymore. Now emails are coming in requesting bags. So people are hearing more about Duffle Bag Project, and they're wanting the bags. And that's our whole purpose is to get these bags out, the Bibles.
That's amazing. Yeah. So share with me a little bit. I know we talked a little bit about cost before we started recording, but what is the overall cost for the bag, the embroidering, the Bible, everything to get it to somebody?
Well, God is definitely good. Because we have no paid staff, we are able to produce for one duffel bag, one Bible and tabs, it costs us about $16. If the Bibles fluctuate and the prices increase, that would be the change.
Right.
It used to cost us $18, a little over $18, but then we started shipping in-house, and we've saved a lot of money that way. So with every donation that comes in, it's going straight to supplies for the machine, or the duffel bags or Bibles, or tabs, that's where our funds are going to. So we're able to cut costs because we have no cost other than getting them out.
Well, and that's amazing too, because, over the past, few years with all the costs going up, we hear from so many that are like, hey, it actually costs more to do this now, but hearing from you that it costs less, that's amazing to see how God has provided in that way.
It really is. And that's just one story. I have so many, the way we got our first machine. So like I said, those first little machines that we had were $1,000.
Yeah.
And when it was just my husband and I, we only had half of that we had to buy. We needed another 500. We're like, oh, well, I don't know. God will provide. We'll figure it out. And a couple days went by and I told my husband, I was like, I think we're supposed to be buying the machine this week. He's like, well, we only have $500. I was like, I don't know. I just get this feeling. We go to church. And as we're walking back to our car, a couple from that small group, they hand us money just rolled up and they're like, oh, had an extra sale and I feel like God's just wanting me to give you this. And I'm like, oh, thank you. I didn't look at it. I just kind of put it in my pocket because we had the kids were loading them up and I get in the car and I pull it out and it was $500.
Wow.
And I was like, there are so many of those moments throughout the last 4 years that those things have happened. Like, I'm not even worried. Coming into this interview, I was thinking, man, what am I going to talk about? I'm like, I can't mess it up. What,
not at all.
What door God opens, no man can close, even, if I stumble and fall.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's amazing to see that for sure. So one thing I love to hear, especially when you're talking about, different community groups or organizations or people that you've been able to partner with, what is kind of the response and what does the support look like from the community as a whole supporting Duffle Bag Project?
Support has been absolutely amazing. We could not do we couldn't do it. It's not just the financial, the load bearing brunt of it is the hands.
Yeah.
There's a part in the Bible that talks about the body of Christ is not just hands. You can't just have a bunch of hands. There's arms, there's legs, there's different parts. And we have so many people working as a team to tab Bibles. It takes about 30 to 45 minutes to tab one Bible. And that's a lot of time for someone to willing to give up. And, I say it takes about 24 minutes to embroider a bag, but they don't just embroider one bag.
Right.
We send hundreds of bags out all the time. God is just working in the hearts of our volunteers and giving them a drive and a desire to come in consistently and do what needs to be done so we can reach these children, because that's the whole point.
Right.
Only God can, change a dark heart to a light, joyful heart. And that's, there's a lot of that in foster care, a lot of bitterness there.
That's so amazing to hear that. Thanks so much for listening to part 1 of our conversation with Karina Hall and the Duffle Bag Project. We'll be back next week to share even more about this amazing ministry.
If there's a topic you'd like to hear discussed on Community Matters, please send an email to office@spiritfm.com. Thank you for listening to Community Matters on your encouraging Spirit FM. Community Matters, solutions to local issues and discussions with leaders who are making a positive difference from your encouraging Spirit FM. Here's your host, Doug Day.
Welcome back to Community Matters. This week we resume the conversation with Karina Hall of the Duffle Bag Project. Let's get back into the conversation and hear more about this amazing ministry. So one of the things that I love to hear, and I know we've talked about a few of these things already, but if you look back since Duffle Bag Project started till today, what is one kind of overarching thing that God has taught you throughout this entire process?
It's a phrase that keeps coming to mind. It's like, I've got it, do what you can. I've got it. And so many times, try not to get emotional. Like your email, when you reached out to see if I wanted to do this interview, it was that in itself, it was a God thing because as president, that's one of my duties is to find outreach and to promote Duffle Bag Project. But like I said, everyone on here is a volunteer, and I have 3 young kids and a family and business, and so sometimes I don't have a lot of time to do this, and so he constantly is providing a way. We do what we can, and he takes the reins.
That's powerful. Yeah. I would love to hear if you have any specific stories or anything about somebody receiving one of these duffel bags and just what that really does mean to somebody getting them?
Yes, I have a duffel bag story and a Bible story.
Yes.
There are a lot to choose from. It's actually a hurdle too sometimes. So because we are a kind of backdoor organization when it comes to working with foster children, like we don't actually see the foster kids. They communicate with them openly. So everything that's told to us are from organizations that receive our bags and hand these duffel bags and Bibles to the kids. One comes to mind was a donee from an organization. I think it was one of the Isaiah houses, and it may have been Florida, but it was actually a volunteer was packing the bag that we had sent them, and she saw the Bible verse, and it was the volunteer whose heart was touched as she was packing the bag, because it was a verse that had struck her at a time and when she was in college, and that meant a lot to her, and hadn't even reached the child yet.
Yeah.
And so it's just the hands that are moving, and that's another awesome way to see God at work in the many members of Christ's body is these donees. There's so many different organizations doing so many different things for foster kids. We're just the duffel bags. They're the ones handling the kids. It's almost a flow. It's very intricate and it's amazing to see. And then there was another story. This one was a local story through the foster and adoption. There's a 13-year-old girl. She saw one of our tab Bibles that they keep up at the front for foster kids to get if they'd like. And she picked it up and she really liked the color. So we have each one colorfully tabbed. So each 66 books of the Bible, there's a tab on them, and it says the book of the Bible. And so she wanted one, she took it, and the foster mom was telling us that, she told another volunteer at the foster adoption who related to me that her daughter didn't want to put it down. She started taking it to school with her, which is a pretty bold move to do these days.
For sure.
And eventually it led to her salvation. She wanted to become baptized. She started asking all these questions and reading her Bible, and this desire for God came over her, and she was baptized and saved. And it's really great to hear these stories. And we're trying to actually get all these quotes and put them on our website. And these testimonies. We have another LU Innovations. It's a school, part of the school at Liberty University. We're now part of their system, and that we get last semester we had three students help us with our social media. And so one of their projects was to get all these testimonies from all the organizations that we donate, so we could put these stories onto our website. And so this semester we're going to be focusing more on that this semester of their school year, getting them on our website so people can see these testimonies and stories.
Well, that kind of segues well into what I was going to ask next. What are, outside of, growing the website, getting those testimonies on there, what are some other goals you have for Duffle Bag Project as you move into 2025?
Mine personally, as president for this organization, is just growing an army of prayer warriors, because that really is something that we need all the time. Prayer is what got us this far. As for website and outreach, I'd really like to start on our website breaking down each state. And because it's 9 different states that we reach out to and that we donate to of the 42 organizations. And I want to have state by state broken down, and where the people who are receiving or who want to donate, but they want their funds to go to foster children in their state, have them be able to do that. For instance, in Kentucky, we just had a church reach out and want to donate. And they had the idea of wanting to do that for the state of Kentucky. We don't have that yet. But another great thing is that God has produced for this last year of 2024 is he brought on someone great. His name is Mark Norris, and he's been doing a lot of our research and development, and is really great with breaking things down on our website and just on our funding and so something like this has already been brought to the table, and it's just getting the wheels turning on that. There's a lot of growth happening, and I would say it has been very consistent, but the greatest need and my greatest focus is to make us a army of prayer warriors for it, because that's the best thing we need to do.
So one thing I love that segues once again perfectly into the next thing I was thinking about. What are ways that the Spirit FM listening family can pray for and come alongside Duffle Bag Project in prayer in 2025?
I would say because our organization is run on volunteers, to pray for our volunteers and for their families, because there's so many distractions and things in our life that, the enemy can use to distract us or take time away. But prayer for continued desire and energy for this, and also for financial support, because we are 100% donor relied on. And I would say those two. Yeah. Those two things.
That's really important. So definitely prayer is important, and prayer warriors are important.
Yeah.
What are some ways, if somebody's listening today, that they want to help out physically with Duffle Bag Project? Physically. What are ways that they can get involved, either volunteering? What does that process look like?
Yes, I would encourage you, if you're listening and you'd like to become one of our volunteers, please reach out to us. You can either do that on our website or email dltm@dufflebagproject.org, and that's DLTM, Duffle, DUFFLE, bagproject.org. That is Dana Morgan, and tell her that you're very interested in wanting to volunteer, and we do a volunteer group. We're going to start doing them once a month if we get enough people, or it can just be an individual session, and that's how we would go. And if you're interested in donating or able to donate, just also go to our website at dufflebagproject.org, and it's Duffle, DUFFLE, not EL.
Perfect. Yeah. I was writing it this morning and I wrote the wrong way, crossed it out, fixed it. So yeah, it was a whole thing for me this morning. So one thing that I would love to hear from you, if you really felt that call of God on your life to step out and do this, if somebody's listening today and they're feeling a call to start something, to take a step of faith, whether it's a big step of faith or a small step of faith, what is something advice-wise you would share with that person today to just kind of maybe the thing they need to hear to know that it is God calling them?
I would say start on the first step, and then the second, and then the third. I would recommend not looking at the big picture right away, because God is constantly in control of that. If God were to pluck me out of 2020 and put me right here in 2025, beginning of 2025, I would have been completely overwhelmed. Through the process of growth in whatever thing that He has put in front of you, He is also going to grow you. They grow at the same time. Yeah, the process, the project, whatever it is that's in front of you, can't grow unless the Holy Spirit within you is growing as well.
Yeah.
It requires so much reliance on trust and direction from Him. And it's amazing personal growth too.
Yes, for sure. Well, I just want to thank you for coming today. I want to thank you for just sharing your heart. Just, what you're doing for the community is something that's amazing. And, you even shared that, sometimes you don't see the impact with the children, but, hearing the stories and just seeing your heart behind it. I just want to share from my perspective that you are having an impact. You are reaching people. You are encouraging. You are, doing everything that God is calling you to do. And it's an amazing thing to kind of see that in somebody.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I really want to say thank you on behalf of Duffle Bag Project.
Yes.
We're very grateful to be here, and thank you so much for reaching out to us.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up, would love for you to just share all the ways that people can get connected with the Duffle Bag Project website, social media, all that good stuff. So people know.
So our website is dufflebagproject.org, and Duffle is LE, not EL. And you can reach us at admin@dufflebagproject.org, or if you're not tech savvy, you can call the number at 434-818-3937, and we'll get you worked out that way. If you're interested in volunteering or donating, again, that would be reaching out to our website at dufflebagproject.org, or the email dltm@dufflebagproject.org.
Thank you so much, Karina. Thanks so much for sharing today, and thank you for coming in. It was great to get to talk with you.
Thank you, Doug.
If there's a topic you'd like to hear discussed on Community Matters, please send an email to office@spiritfm.com. Thank you for listening to Community Matters on your encouraging Spirit FM.